We have the richest resource, we have the greatest waters for fishing, and we've handed them away to foreign trawlers.
When you look around here, you can see where the money is going. They've forgotten about it. It's a dreadful scenario that the trawlers have to come up the Liffey to be heard.
It's an embarrassment for me to think that our government sold the fishing rights of the next fisheries generation. We can see when we sent people to Europe to fight for the recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic, they look for 1 billion due to our population. Other countries with population the same size and smaller than ours look for 10 billion and got 6 billion. We now have 915 million to re-energise our country after COVID-19. It just goes to show that our government are not capable of fighting for what is Ireland are entitled to.
At the same time, we have Spanish, French and Belgian fishing boats landing in this state that don't have to go through weighing at the quay. They're going into big containers, and those containers are rolling out into those countries. It's one rule for Irish people on the Irish seas and another rule for other countries fishing in our waters. There's a cap-tipping instinct within the Irish government and the Irish political establishment to the European Union. Action is needed now to stand up to make sure that we have a fishing industry in the future. I
come from Waterford in the southeast, where in Waterford County, for example, in Dunmore East, in Ardmore, in other parts of Waterford and indeed in Wexford, we have strong fishing communities that were once thriving. We had villages and towns that had a really strong fishing economic infrastructure which is no longer there. And it's simply because of the quotas on the one hand and also the lack of investment in harbours.
It's frightening, and I think the government haven't realised what's happening and the unfairness that's taking place. And I'm appealing to them now to get around the table with the EU commissioners and ensure that the fishing quotas are properly divided out, because they're not at the present time.
What do you think the role of the EU is in all of this?
It's a plunderer. They become plunderers now. They plundered our waters. We saw what happened down in off Cork coast. My deputy Collins raised it again, where a Spanish trawler tried to ram Irish fishermen. The Spanish trawler was 4 or 5 times as big as ours in our waters. Michael Collins contacted the Taoiseach's office, contacted the Navy. It was that night before a boat came to their assistance. So we seem to have thrown in the towel. They are the plunderers now, and we are left with no clothes.
When Ireland became a member of the European Union, it was there to have strength. It's like any business that you see here in Ireland, that you see all small businesses come together for buying market for a business. It's supposed to be a business for Ireland being involved in Europe. That means strength. That means that we get the best deal for equality for all of the countries, and Ireland is not getting the equality in Europe that they deserve.
We need to make sure that the European Commission recognises that the fishers in Ireland cannot be a casualty of Brexit.
And we need to go back to the drawing board. You know, the deal that was done back in the 1970s, obviously it wasn't great, and the government needs to step up to the plate now and work harder for it.
We've come out worse from Brexit than any of the other countries. So I think it's now up to the government to ensure that the common fisheries policy is renegotiated as a matter of urgency. It's actually dependent on the very survival of our fishermen.
The European Union and the stronger countries in Europe and the stronger negotiators have been pushing for their own countries, and we've been continuously lying down to that and giving great acceptance. You saw the funds that were given from Europe recently. Sweden has twice the population, got 3 times our money. We only got less than 1 billion. Our government are a disgrace beyond belief that they didn't apply for the proper funding for our country, for our businesses, our publicans, our shopkeepers, our businesses that are struggling at this present time. But when it comes to fishing, we certainly have been the whipping boys in Europe far too long.